And yes, welcome to the July Somerville Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting. We're going to start with roll call. Usually try to do a fun little question to get things started. And I can start that, and I'll ask the question: how do you beat the heat if you're biking? And I guess I don't know, that's what's good for you when you're biking when it's really hot? What infrastructure items do you appreciate more when it's really, really hot? Because we just came out of some heat waves. So I'll start. I'm Lena Webb. I'm the chair of the committee. I live in Somerville, Ward 7. And when it gets really hot and I'm biking, I really appreciate public water. So I think it's really important to have public water fountains so that you can fill up your bottle. Cause I biked on that really hot day that was 105 degrees and there's just me going from there to Quarter Square. And I stopped in between at Pemberton's and I drained and refilled my bottle 5 times. So public free water fountains is what I like. And next in line, I'll pass it off to you, Ted.
Yeah, so let's see. My favorite, you took the one that you took the one that I was gonna say, that drinking fountains are a big one. What would be a good second one? Yeah, honestly, probably
You can
ice cream
second
stops.
one.
If
that?
proximity of bike ride to ice cream shop is
Oh,
probably
okay, so
mine.
more local businesses, that's a good way. Okay, love it. And then Paul,
How about misting stations in a fantasy world?
misting stations in a fantasy
Just
world.
push a button and then it would.
Yeah, like splash
going
pads,
face.
but for hot cyclists. And Adrienne, who is here virtually. Oh, you're muted.
We can't hear you.
Well, you actually aren't showing us
She's not muted, but we can't hear you.
We can go
Just
back.
do it, charades.
Do a dance, interpretive dance.
We can, oh,
What just happened?
it's our fault, Adrian, it's not yours.
We heard Ted before.
We had a-
Zoom is coming through overall, right?
Someone else say something.
It shows my mic is working.
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay.
There you are.
Great. I would say trees. I on the bike path or on the community path, there's some areas that have trees and then other areas that have no trees and really like to be under the tree lined area.
Absolutely. Cool. And then is Kat here? Kat finished. And Kat likes to be Kat, right? Maybe two, yeah. I just know there's two technically Catherines, and I want to make sure.
Yeah.
You got it. Both two cats or just one? No. So Kat is not here. All right, Alex, you're up.
Hi, everyone. Alex Frieden, Union Square resident, member of the committee. I was going to also say for public infrastructure, street trees, 10-degree difference, I think, between street tree and non-street tree.
So true. Yes.
Personal infrastructure, motors.
Yes.
Broad bits.
Got mine.
Awesome. And then Catherine. Okay. Tom, we're at you.
Tom Lamar, East Central resident, member of the committee. I'm gonna say more specifically than e-bikes, affordable e-bike share. I think Blue Bike is tied for the best priced e-bikes of any of the Motivate systems, which I appreciate when I need a break.
Nice. They need more e-bikes in the fleet, right?
They do.
And Maria, if she is not here, it would be her last meeting. She sent an email She's moving to LA, which was the plan all along. She's doing it a little early. And so she's going to be doing a degree, I think in planning. And is already gonna go to bat for LA's bike infrastructure, which is like such a tall order. So yes, it was great to have Maria on the committee for the time that she was here. She was great. She had a lot of fun. I saw her tabling, you know, at the bike month kickoff, and that was really fun. So if she's not here, let's all just anyway say thanks to Maria and wish her well with fixing LA. Okay, and then we also have our exhibitions, and when I chaired my first meeting, you guys, sorry. I've checked you off. Okay, sorry, Amanda, please. I'm staring at.
I'm gonna just do some repeats, but Amanda Reichel, Ward 3. I appreciate the trees. I bike to LA, but it really isn't that bad when you're under the canopy. And yes, my motor, I can turn up the juice and it, you know, it makes, you know, you're riding through wind.
You do make some
It's
cooling.
great.
Yeah, no, it's true. And like to Alex's thing about the 10 degrees, last round when it was like last year when it was just interminable, I actually did a little like thermometer thing. And if you're going through like a wooded path, it is about 10 degrees cooler.
Yeah.
All right, and then so here's what I did. I skipped to Maria and I skipped over you. And now we're into our ex officio. And we have Julie Burley as our city council ex officio, and then we have Greg, who's here. Greg.
Greg Hanfin, City of Somerville. I have definitely been using the e-bikes more often. Rode one here,
Nice.
especially up the hills. It's
Yes.
great. And I think also just places to, like benches, like places to stop and take a break.
Yes,
Very nice on
excellent.
hot days.
Yes, no heat islands. We're gonna make a park you guys for sure. Rashika, hi.
Hi, I have not gone on a bike this summer yet because it's too hot.
Yeah.
Trial.
Then, wow, that's perfect. Excellent. And then, representing, DPW, we have Eric Weissman, who's not here. And so, yes, we definitely have forum. Let's get it started. And the way it goes, you know, we're gonna go through these items, and at the end of each item, we do have time for public comment. So if there are people, do we have anybody in the Zoom?
Not currently.
Not currently. Okay, so if people want to talk, we'll, you know, after we do the content, there will be time if people are here. So let's do our first voting thing, which is approval of Amanda's excellent meeting minutes, which are in box and also Greg shared. So if I can get someone to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from last meeting, Tom, and a second. Ted. I see you. Right, and everybody else say aye or nay and make your vote known, either out loud or with the end. Aye. Okay, so that passes and the meeting minutes are approved. And so our first focus, as always, is our outreach and engagement. Updates, what has been being talked about in your subcommittee, what are some of the plans you're making, as well as also a focus on how SBAC will communicate to the public. You know, what events are we involved in? What events do we want to promote? How do we want to communicate to the public? And that's what it sounded like I heard from Adrian and from the subcommittee as like a discussion topic. So if either somebody wants to take the lead and sort of say what you were thinking about when we were talking about kind of this form of outreach, because it's outreach. So if anyone wants to pop in, or we can all, you know.
Yeah, I can pop in. So we were thinking that a morning meetup would be a great event, and what's the park called again, Amanda?
Junction.
Junction.
Unless it gets a new name, I don't know.
Junction Park.
Does anyone from the city know when that's going to open? It says summer. looks close.
I do not, no, sorry.
Okay. Well, we picked 9/17 when a Wednesday to propose a morning bike party or gathering from 7:30 to 9:30, where we would do hopefully we could get pastries and coffee donated from potentially Cafe Zaruma, which is very close by, and they're also a bike friendly business. Or maybe we have funding, I think that there's funding for events like this. So either we buy from them or we get a donation, but thinking that it would just be like a meetup, talk to cyclists, wish them hello on their commute to work, and tell them about SBAC and just, brief chats. But that's our idea for 9/17. And any thoughts on that? Has anyone done anything like that? I know there was something that was going on at Whole Foods or right, Whole Foods in the past. So maybe this park and a meetup, we could have 4 people max, like as like volunteer shifts if need be, but hopefully it might be kind of a fun thing for everyone to say hi in the morning to each other. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like, because we did used to do the bike breakfast with Whole Foods. Ian was sort of the one who led that when we did it more regularly, and that did involve indeed having like Whole Foods donate some pastries in the morning, and like we had a tent and people would come up on their commute because we did it was on Beacon Street, right? Yeah, Beacon Street. Very busy place. So yeah, like that's a very good that worked well in the past. Tom, I think like you also have been here. Alex, you've been here when we did that.
Yeah. I was a regular attendee, and I know Ted had stepped up and helped organize it for a while as well. I thought that worked pretty well. I really like the idea of Junction Park overall, because it's like the community path gets so many people biking. And I think some things about when we did it at the Whole Foods on Beacon Street, it worked well that it was on a busy bike route, had a decent place to pull over. One of the main flaws was that it was on the wrong side of the street. So it's kind of a challenge for people to like
Everyone was
actually
going
decide to pull over and decide to do and then left turn onto the wrong side of the street.
Is it because the massive Kendall commute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause everybody's going that.
Yeah, everybody's going
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
Kendall or continuing on to downtown Boston.
Gotcha.
Something that were a bit of a challenge, or that we tried to work around before. One is having like kind of an obvious place to pull over. Bike take up a little bit of space. Probably not an issue at like a park, but maybe we're thinking about it a little bit. And then again on Beacon Street, just kind of like deciding how we inform people that this is happening. So like we did some social media, but we also tried to just like lure in people coming by. We're just kind of like yelling like, "Hey, free bike breakfast," whatever. And we like someone had like positioned somebody on the other side of the street to like yell at people coming by.
Did anyone have a sandwich board, like one of those? Like, you could get one of
We used to have
those.
signage and then we lost it 1 year and never replaced it or something. It would have helped a lot to have like
Wayfinding.
signage a little bit to like make it super obvious, like, hey, like free bike breakfast up ahead, like pull over at the next turn off and like come hang out with us or whatever. So I think it's a great idea. My suggestion is, make it super easy for people to know that it's coming up and smooth them to like pull off.
So directionality makes a difference. It's the subtle things.
Does someone have a sandwich board that we could do and that we could use? Like a chalkboard or something?
I feel like this always falls into the category of like, is there a little closet? Like, we have a supplies closet.
We can
And I don't
check
know,
if we have
like,
a day frame or something. There might be something sticking around
we
City
could
Hall,
take one,
not sure, but we can inquire.
like
Okay.
a whole sawhorse.
And if we wanted to like flyer, like put up, anyone on this group like be good about like make a flyer? Did you guys make flyers for the breakfast, or did you just like do social media? Because I'm imagining we could put up a few flyers around the bike path.
Yeah,
We,
I think we just done social media, but I think physical flyers are a great idea.
If we don't find a sandwich board, we could use political yard signs and, like, I think I have some plain ones
Yeah,
that like, where you can tape,
I don't have plain ones,
Tape-
but I've done the same thing.
tape your sign to it. I also have some that are in the shape of an arrow. Anyway, I have some things that we could use.
It is nice to get the random person off the street, like even if they didn't know about it on social media, if you have signs, it's like, oh, wow, this is cool, and then like they stop and that's.
You kind of warn people who are heading
Yeah,
towards
like-
Boston in the area before it gets narrow and you
See
head
those-
into Junction
Those
Park.
billboards like that out in your cars, right?
After you can use chalk.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, I honestly, I think
I like
it's
that
a good idea to, like, we could consider this a pilot.
Mhm.
Like, if we do this and we like pull it off and figure out how to do them, we can make it regular, but like, we can think about how to do it really well in the meantime. Cause you'd said you were thinking, what was it? When was the date?
17.
Not
Of this 17th?
Yeah.
Oh.
no, September.
October.
September,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
sorry,
heard
not-
September. I was like, forget everything I said. If that's the case, strike it for the record.
So,
Yeah, no, like, so plenty of time, right?
So
Can you give me a
question,
tent
are we,
before?
what
Oh,
was
sorry, go
that?
ahead. Oh, I was saying is there a tent, this tent that you speak of? Does it still exist?
Oh, I didn't think we had a tent.
You mentioned.
Well, there's a natural tent
You didn't-
in that park.
Oh, that's true, but that's like on
Yeah.
the other side of the path, like there's not a lot of room there. But
And
you could have like traffic jam.
Kinda need to see what
problems.
the park looks like in its finished.
Yeah.
did we have a tent?
The
Whole Foods
So they
provided.
provided.
Oh, they
okay,
gave you
so
a
they
And
provided.
tables. We did like little like tablecloth things, stuff,
Gotcha.
but they provided a pop-up tent.
If there's like a list of things that you might want for the event, just let us know and we can, like DPW sometimes has equipment, they may have a tent.
Yeah.
that we can provide, so just let us know ahead of time if there are things that you might want to see right now.
That's cool, so like someone could just make a Google Doc of like, just do a wish list and see what's possible.
Or a
and just-
table, if you want a
The
table.
table would be good.
Someone could just start a little
There's
list,
some orgs that.
a living document.
And then question about like donations. Are we allowed to receive donations? We're not like a 501c3. So if I were to ask this, like Zaruma, they probably would want that to donate to, or can we just buy coffee and pastries from them?
I will check on that. It sounds like Whole Foods made some donations in the past and
It
that,
was like pastries, right? It was the form of food.
Yeah, it was a super light
It is
breakfast.
supplied food, we, did not have any 501c3 for that to count as.
It was like little Danishes.
I'll double check on that.
I like to make coffee cakes, so I could bring some of that.
Oh, nice, homemade.
I feel like a big sale of the.
What day of the week was that?
Wednesday. We picked Wednesday because
Wednesday.
most people go to work. If they're gonna go into work, it's gonna be on a
That's true.
Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday,
The
those are the
tradition has
days.
evolved for
Yeah.
current times.
Yes, exactly. So that's really cool. So why not make an action item, just like put together a list and then see like what we can get and then what we need and, plenty of time, again, to be, we can consider it a pilot. The city does so many pilots, we could do a pilot. We can also do a pilot.
Like we've talked about before, we should be able to have like a small budget for giveaways and things, as long as we have enough advance notice to get them.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I think now's a good time to start putting together.
So that's great. It's a real IRL, in real life event. And so then we were getting back to the like communications part of it. I know that there's sort of like, someone was asking about an Instagram, who holds control of Instagram. I will say I hold the power of Blue Sky. So I made it and we upgraded because on X, we used to be Somerville Bike and now we're Somerville Bikes, plural, like we should be. So I have mainly been using that just to like, retweet, streetwise events, boost, Somerville Infrastructure One, great account, just stuff like that. So very neutral things, like I'm not saying an opinion on there, so like that's sort of the thing that one must be aware of when like representing that account. At least that's something I am like, okay, don't do that. So yeah, like, but it's a great, I think it's a great place, to spread it, like, like dates and stuff like that. We've got a lot of people that do follow it that are in the community that will retweet, like, you know, as with the streetwise as like a case study, you know, like. I think it does help get people to. Like kind of spread it, but yeah, so what were you thinking when, you know, you're talking about like the communication aspect, was there like interest in a newsletter or
Like, can we
reviving?
get
something
into
like
the
that?
like mobility newsletter possibly? I don't know how often that comes out, but
Every month.
every month.
Every month,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have to figure out the timing, but it's.
Yeah, so it is like an undertaking to like, cause I did it, so we did a newsletter and it was a lot to do by yourself. I think I can't remember how long I lasted, but like, you know, gathering content, you know, it's kind of like setting an agenda, you gotta like, what are you gonna put in your newsletter, right? So it is it is challenging to do a newsletter, but, and again, like also Mobility does have their great newsletter too, but yes, so I use the Blue Sky account just to like retweet all of that. So, yeah, I wasn't sure, cause this was, I don't know, Alex, did you said something about this? Didn't you?
About which thing in
About
particular?
the like outreach aspect.
I don't recall. I don't remember saying something about it, but
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
ideally,
If we can have a little square in the mobility newsletter, then that sounds like a good first spot.
That's
first.
good. A feature.
Yeah, we can, also put it on the city calendar. Right. I don't know what date the newsletter is going on in September, so maybe safe bet is, send it to us by August.
And so what kind of content would that be? Like, would you think about it as like upcoming dates or events, or what would be featured?
I think in specifically this event, but I don't know.
This,
if there's like
okay,
other
I wasn't if this was like moving forward or something, you know, related to that, but yes, we were. You know.
yeah, I would
So
say this, sorry, this event is tentative if Junction Park is ready to
Not
be
out yet.
used.
Right. Ready to be
Because it
Yeah.
says 2025 summer that it should be done, but I don't know.
Well, then let's make a
They're
list.
actively working on it. I
Yeah.
see it every day.
Yeah.
We can check,
You can take pictures of it and you can post it to Blue Sky and say, hey, look at the progress of our event.
yeah, I would imagine that the information that is available to be shared publicly, at least in terms of the timelines, is what is online now.
Yeah.
But, we'll certainly let you know if it is not gonna be open again. Hopefully later in the summer we'll have.
We could move it to the Lowell Street. Area, because there's lots of areas to pull off there. You know, and then the next time we do it, we could do it at Somerville.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, that specific event seems very promising to like see how a lot of things work and what we can do, and that sounds exciting. Was there any other items, outreach events, any other
Yeah.
items from the subcommittee? Yeah.
Yeah, so we also wanted to table at Union Square Farmers Market, and Rishika, I don't know if you heard back from them about the date?
I sent in the application, haven't heard back from them yet,
Okay,
we're still waiting on confirmation, I'll let you all know, but I sent it in for August 4th. Sorry, October 4th. And as soon as I hear back, I'll let you know. They are, limiting community tables just because, there's construction at 93 Union Square. So they've been like kind of strapped for space there. So as soon as I know, and I hear from them, I'll let you guys know.
and then, we are also thinking Monster Mash, and so, Kat is gonna be looking into how we sign up for that, because there actually isn't much online yet, but the date that I found is 10/19. So as we were talking, it's kind of like there's not a lot going on in the summer. A lot of people go on vacation. So if we try to like have our outreach strategy be like bike month, which is in May, and like maybe kind of May is the end of it. And then like for June, July, August, we don't do a lot. And then we kind of like come back in the fall, like do some things in spring, maybe spring farmers market, the indoor one in April or March, and then the bike month kickoff, and other things that come up. But a lot of these, we just kind of like, if there's like flagship events that we really want to be tabling at, we should decide on that, because we have to usually sign up like months in advance. So
Yeah.
Open to suggestions if there's anything, but we thought like bike month is a good one to like chat with our folks, but like Monster Mash is a good one to talk to people that aren't necessarily bike people. We were also talking about the Gilman Square
Oh,
event.
right.
I know mobility
Neighborhood
goes to
Council
that.
Art Festival. That's in the summer. It's soon. What is it? Do you have a date for that?
Let me look.
Probably find it somewhere.
So what is the process of securing a table? And like, is there like, if we provided a list of the things that we're looking at that we think would be cool, who would be able to tell us like that we can, what is the process of like securing a table, and like, is there like deadlines, or like, again, like how best to coordinate this if SBAC really wants to be a participant and be out in the community and table and like, do the job, do the role.
I mean, if it's a city event, definitely check in with us and then we can figure out if we're gonna be there or who we can connect with. If it's Union Square Main Streets, I would say reach out to them. But yeah, I would say always reach out to us first, just in case we are already tabling, you could do it with us.
Okay, cool.
And if not, you can just reach out, state Union Square Main Streets or the neighborhood council, Gilman Square. Any community organizations would go through the community organizations.
Yeah, I know I have contacts to the Gilman people. So I could do that one.
The neighborhood.
Yes. It's my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, it's on the 13th of September.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so yeah, just like a list of those things, and then also a list of like things that we want to have at those events would be good to have, so that we could give over to our newest leaders. So yeah, if that sounds good as as action items, is there any other thing that anyone wanted to mention about outreach events?
With regard to literally securing a table, I have a table
Oh,
for any of these
okay,
things, like,
Okay.
like a literal table.
okay. Well, we can email about the table as long as it doesn't reach quorum and we, have to.
It's our
add
deliberations-
tables to the
deliberations.
agenda.
Planning.
And I live near the Somerville Junction Park, so.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, it sounds like this will all shape up to be a really cool event and also, just get us like it would be nice to have like a little kit that we could bring to the table and, the city can help with a shopping list if possible. And then, we'll kind of get in the rhythm of saying, what we want to do or what we think we'd like to be at and then coordinate as Rashika said, but that. So. There's not
Great.
anything else. Thank you, subcommittee, thank you, Adrienne. And thank you, city. And we do, if anyone has any public comment, if anyone has any suggestions as to how to make these events even better, I don't know if we have anybody
Not correct.
as a guest. All right, cool. So, yeah, that sounds great. It sounds productive and good. And now we're gonna go to the engineering review section. We were gonna talk about Somerville Ave, but then the city gave us the, excellent, interesting news that Middlesex Ave is also gonna have a quick build. And so Eval Engineering looked at this, we'd like to hear from the city and hear from the team about starting with Middlesex Ave.
Yeah, so a little table setting, there are 3 items on the agenda, there's, quick build Middlesex Ave, quick build Somerville Ave, and then, comments on the, Mystic River Bridge. Of these, kind of starting with Middlesex Ave, my understanding is basically the only opportunity we have for feedback on here. The others, I believe, are more flexible if we do run out of time or anything. So covering the Middlesex Ave quick build protected bike lanes, first just for reference, for anyone not familiar with where this is, Middlesex Ave is an assembly, kind of behind the Trader Joe's and other big box stores here. The product area extends sort of from near the Kensington Connector and Foley Street here, up north to around here-ish. And the product is for quick build protected bike lanes in both directions. And I believe this is in fulfillment of a participatory budgeting item from last year. And so a relatively short timeline, presumably chosen for being like a relatively simple project that has, plenty of room for protected bike lanes without the need for any interesting trade-offs too much. So I'll go over the project briefly and share some initial comments and then open it up, but also feel free to hop in whenever. So yeah, I'll go over a design and a signal fading concept. So for the design itself, 3 slides here. So here we have Middlesex Ave. Over the satellite view is slightly confusing, but over here we have the Kensington Connector going here-ish, connecting to going underneath McGrath there and crossing or underneath 93 in a corridor of depth there. Here's the plaza that's under construction. Here's the existing plaza that has lots of tables, really hard to get through currently while this is under construction.
Yeah.
And up here, Foley Street is a mix of quick built protected bike lanes, southbound from a year or 2 ago, or southbound, westbound, southwest bound, something like that. It's all very diagonal. And, there's some various construction is also adding raised sidewalk level cycle tracks as well. So the city also has is changing the signal timing on here, and we'll get to that in a moment. Other than that, I would mostly characterize the design as like fairly simple, but kind of one thing to note is I would say that for somebody coming up the Kensington Connector from East Somerville into Assembly, going like toward the T station or like going toward the heart of Assembly, I'm not sure what route folks have previously taken. I always found it a little bit awkward, but previously I think a lot of people would have kind of gone on the exclusive pedestrian phase from the Burr Ramp here-ish. Perhaps entering the under construction cycle track here. I personally used a contraflow here a lot of this unidirectional bike lane anyway. But this is getting redone, kind of more clearly designating the people biking in this direction into assembly, would have a clear path to enter the unidirectional cycle track going that direction. Moving on the design a little bit, going this way, towards, northwest-ish towards 28. Next section, I would say, it has a nice, like, painted curve extensions, etc. Nice unidirectional bike lanes. In my view, no interesting, trade-offs to a large extent. Just the street is extremely wide in its current form. And then continuing in that direction, kind of near 28 over here at the Staples, kind of the end of that section of big box stores, is the proposed end of the product area. And so I'll call it two details and some initial suggestions. One is that on here, I guess, it's all incremental, it has to end somewhere. But the ends here feel a little bit awkward. Certainly nobody wants to be biking on 28 or entering from there. I would imagine most people just are not biking here really, or are on the sidewalk if they are in this area at all. So an initial thought I had is to find some better ending for this around here. Maybe that looks in this direction, maybe that looks like extending this at least as far as this access road north of the Staples, which like kind of connects back to Grand Union Boulevard and towards Assembly. And on here, I don't know if it would be in scope, but it would be nice if maybe people could be routed onto the sidewalk in this area or something.
There's like a crossing with lights that's like Wheatlandish or like south of there, but it's not like easy to get to. I'm just wondering if there's any way to sort of get from there to that intersection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I believe so. I always get a little.
I mean, it's not Wheatland, maybe it's
here.
it's like the corner, like this area.
Gotcha. So on the map, that's here is you're referring to.
Yeah,
So right near all those highways begin.
there's
and
like,
look back.
there's like somewhat safe crossings over there.
Oh, jeez.
Same in context.
Oh, jeez.
That's how I like to go, anyway.
Alex
Yeah.
has his hand up.
Yeah, let's see Alex and then Ted.
Oh, and then no.
Yeah, I just want to echo Tom, your comment. That right turn there to kind of get into Assembly from the Fell from Route 28 is fairly common. And the other thing, I don't know how many people have been here commonly, but you see this area right here from the Fellsway taking a right. There's oftentimes people kind of hooking a very sharp U-turn to get into the parking lot, so they don't have to go all the way around.
And you're referring to cars making that move, correct? Not bikes.
Yeah, cars. So so that means you're going fairly fast coming around here.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think if you're pushing this down, even just like past that parking lot intersection that you pointed to, I would advocate that we say this needs to be moved, even if the other side has to get moved with it. Like,
Gotcha. Making sure I'm hearing that, Alex, is your suggestion that the proposed bike lane that would be going this southeastern direction, that it should like
sorry, no, on the other side of Middlesex Ave, near where the parking.
The one going north-ish, northwest-ish.
Yes.
So so I think it currently was shown ending here is just, and we're agreeing that we want to make sure we extend it to here.
Yeah, yes, at least till there when that exit comes.
Yeah. Ted?
Yeah, similar question. I was thinking, what is the desire line like with where the bike lane goes to now? Because it doesn't really seem like dumping you on the Fellsway would be someplace people want to be. So I agree with the comment to route people back through the access road back towards Grand Union, where there's already a network of bike lanes, because ultimately you want to get across the Fellsway somewhere or get back over to 10 Hills
Not necessarily. You may want to get onto the like the bridge that's over here, right? Water.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's like a
Oh, sorry, you're
better,
saying, yeah,
more-
getting on the Grand Union. Yeah, you're no, you're right. I'm wrong. You're
Once
right.
you get to the river, you're good.
yeah,
Once you
or get
past
over to that intersection to get to Shore Drive. Yeah, or
But there is no wayfinding anywhere here. Like it's unless you've
yeah.
been 1,000 times, it's very hard to know where you want to
So
actually bike.
right, I feel like the routing to the access road, but also wayfinding, like, and putting signs that, oh, gee, this is like ending in a road that you don't want to be on. So if you're on a bike, better off making a right.
Yeah. I like that. I'm reminded a little bit of the like, if you're coming south on the bridge here, I forget how explicitly it's kind of indicated, but like the bike lane here is very much, maybe not fully forcing, but strongly nudging people to like exit off of 28.
Yeah, like I have
and, like,
only ever
it's
taken that
legal to
bridge.
bike further south on here, but like for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, the obvious thing would be like the safer thing, even if it's less direct.
Yeah, I have never biked on the Fellsway past Shore Drive there, to be honest. Or if I needed to get anywhere, I would get off and then use the underpass under the bridge on the trail to get to the
Yes.
Boardwalk. Yeah.
yeah.
Right, I'm gonna present the city's proposed like signal timing here, and then also just kind of curious to hear more about like desire lines in general, what might inform this. So this intersection is currently signalized, there's an exclusive pedestrian phase, and also kind of in the current form, kind of some awkwardness if you're biking this way on Foley Street away from Assembly. The cars have a green arrow, but bikes coming here might want to go straight. At the same time, it's a little awkward. And so, as I understand it, the city is proposing to retime that intersection. This diagram is sort of, north is in a different direction here. But so here we have the Kensington connector, and here's Middlesex Ave, and here's, so Kensington connector towards East Somerville and under 93, Foley Street, going towards Assembly and Assembly Station and all that. And so the main change, as I see it, is that rather than an exclusive phase for pedestrians and implicitly for bikes, it's concurrent timing overall, which also works out to avoid all of the conflict between cars and bikes and pedestrians. So, for example, somebody coming from Assembly, there's somebody biking from Assembly trying to get to the Kensington connector. Would have like a dedicated, was going to be a dedicated bike signal or just like bikes following a walk signal of mobility? I forget if that was mentioned.
What's the, yeah.
No, exactly. It does look like it would be a potentially bikes go on head.
Gotcha.
But
Cool. I didn't mention if that's something we have an opinion on that. Could be something to raise a preference. But I think the main thing to call it is overall that concurrent but non-conflicting timing. So for example, somebody walking or biking from Assembly toward the Kensington connector towards East Somerville would have, for this specific movement, they would have a specific signal timing at a point where cars in turn cannot legally do any conflicting movements here. And I would say my main reaction overall is that this feels like very positive, and this kind of thing can be confusing, but often means like much less delay overall for people walking and biking. My only real concern is kind of making sure that the city would making sure that these concurrent movements like don't require hitting a big button. Kind of in contrast, if anyone's familiar with Powderhouse Boulevard and Aloy Brook Parkway, that's all concurrent movements and like pretty similar signal layout to this. I think we all initially assumed that somebody biking would never have to hit a big button, but it kind of turned out that you did have to hit a big button. And initially, like it was only on the sidewalk side. And then eventually they added one on the bike side, and even then it was like not long enough and hard to reach. And so I would say this looks like a great layout as long as like, I really hope nobody biking has to hit a big button, and if they absolutely have to, I hope it's extremely convenient. And one movement to highlight here would be somebody coming from East Somerville, going underneath 93, trying to get into the heart of Assembly. Previously, they would have done, or else I would have done kind of a diagonal-ish movement on an exclusive phase from here onto Foley Street. And now they would be nudged to first turn into the protected bike lane here at any point without any conflict, and then this specific movement gets a green, then continuing that way.
Does it get a box, a left turn box?
It's a good question. So looking at the plan here, there's not an explicit box. There is kind of space to wait here, and the bike lane does not kind of continue further in this direction on Middlesex. So I would say there is space, but it might benefit from signage or like a big old left turn arrow for bikes there or something to that effect.
Tom, can you go back to phase 2 for a second in the previous slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is the cars would be concurrently allowed to make a left from Foley to Middlesex and Middlesex to a right from Middlesex to Foley, while bikes can go in either direction. So presumably this is going to involve an undo turn on red condition.
That is a good call that we should ensure no turn on red.
For cars.
Also, the streets are very narrow, so even like looking, it's kind of like you're looking at the arrows turning left and right off and onto Foley. But it doesn't really, it sort of misses the point that right turning with vehicles is very close.
Yeah, I was a little,
Phase 2.
yeah,
Right?
maybe it's just how it's drawn, but
Okay.
like, so does the arrow would imply somebody who started on Foley can make a right or a left or cross Middlesex to the Kensington connector, but there would be a bike signal for people that were, for cyclists that were continuing on Middlesex, they would officially have to stop at the intersection.
For which movement, Ted?
So if you were in phase 2, if you were biking along Middlesex coming from the, let's see, north, south, east, west side. So, if you were next to that car making a right turn, you would have a red light just to make sure.
So on from here.
Yeah.
So from here, there actually is no bike lane on that section. That's here-ish in the diagram, which is not part of the quick build project. And for reference, that is this section of the fence, which doesn't connect to much of anything. In my opinion, maybe folks disagree.
Okay. Got it.
Any other thoughts or destination points to focus on?
I have a question. I know they're doing some construction around Sullivan right now.
Mhm.
To your point about like that section of Mystic Ave not being like, you would never bike there because it's
Yeah.
awful and you would take Grand Union instead. Does anyone know, like, whenever Sullivan is done, would that make it more attractive for biking? I don't really know what they're doing there, but it seems like they're making it better for kids. Maybe
Yeah.
bikes too.
Yeah, that's a good call. So the current project, around Mystic Ave and Mockaway that
Yeah.
you're referring to, when that is done, there will be, protected bike lanes, that are paths on basically Mystic Ave and Mockaway will probably turns into, east of, what's this one called? Lombardi, right?
Mm.
And also kind of a nice two-way protected bike lane on the east side here.
Oh, that's great.
And I think it'll basically, my view is that that'll be really leaning into like the connection to Grand Union Boulevard, and will make it much better if you're coming like from Sullivan and getting to there, or if you're like coming to the neighborhood and trying to connect to the Grand Union Boulevard bike lanes or the path next to the Orange Line. But it will not really affect Mystic Ave like any further west going along here. If I'm trying to remember if that's on the bike network plan to eventually be improved.
I mean, it sounds like that's gonna invite people biking in that area, but then you'd be incentivized just to go on Grand Union, which runs parallel.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be the most common.
Yeah. Like if I bike to Home Depot, I'm not on Mystic.
You like go Grand Union Boulevard, like in the back
I
entrance.
move around, yeah.
Yeah. And then make a left by, oh, what is that bowling place right next to Mass Brigham there?
We have free cyclists, agreed.
Yeah. Another thought on the subject of connectivity. So MassDOT has recently started on their 28/38 intersection improvements project, which is kind of building off of the raised prospects that were added here, and adding like a mix of like new crosswalks and cycle tracks and paths in basically this area of 28 and this
Oh,
spaghetti.
yeah, it'd be a lot better.
And I was trying to, yeah, it's gonna be like downright tolerable to like there someday. And I was trying to like see how far those improvements go for reference and briefly eyeball like, hey, that's kind of close. Like, is that going up far enough to like have a meaningful connection to this project? And as far as
That's what I'm
I
saying,
know,
like like this
not
existing
so.
cross is something I do, but it's like awkward, but it's like has lights and stuff, whereas I don't trust Kensington because there's like speeding cars off of the highway,
Yeah.
even though it's raised, but
and-
but also the neighborhoods on the other side are nice, there's like Fellsway West and
Yes.
Wheatland and but yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, I was trying to find some of the 2038 plans, couldn't find actual slides, the close-up end was a YouTube video from 2020 of the presentation, may or may not be the most up to date, but in this slide, here's the Fellsway 28 going underneath 93 here. And I think kind of the northern limits are like down here, like just barely north of Mystic and 93. And over here, Amanda might be the crosswalk you were referring to.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think that is getting a raised crosswalk as part of this.
Mhm.
Anyway, yeah, I was trying to see like, is there enough of an improvement happening
Yeah,
here, being constructed over the next year or two, that this Middlesex Ave quick build project should connect to it. I think I kind of came out to like, it would be really nice if it did, and they're kind of close to each other, but they're like not quite close enough for me to have a specific
Mhm.
call out there.
Yeah.
Anything else on this?
What's the timing?
I believe they plan to start construction in October.
I'm hoping to install this before the end of the year.
Yeah, my read being partly that it being, there's few enough stakeholders to complain about any changes there that they feel comfortable with quickly. All right, I think that's it on Middlesex Ave. I've been jotting down some notes that I can share for approval whenever. Do we want to look at one or both of the other two projects of Somerville Ave and Mystic River Bridge?
Well, it's on Somerville Ave.
Right.
And, cause I saw Greg out there on Somerville Ave. when I was going,
Yeah,
so
we're good.
you're pounding the pavement out there. I wanna hear a little bit about it.
I submitted so
Indoor.
many comments on the survey.
Yeah.
This is my neighborhood, let's go.
We'll be mindful of time. I know that, we really wanna make sure that we do get to the city update. I know last meeting we didn't get to it, but, we wanna make sure that we at least go over some of the things that you bring.
Yeah, for Middlesex Ave too, if you're planning on putting it to a vote to submit. Like a letter, that I would do that this meeting.
Gotcha.
So I'd prioritize that, cause, we would like to have comments before. The committee will have an opportunity to meet again.
Sounds good, so we can go first to that and formalize comments, and then like.
So is it basically just making a motion to write a letter? Or to support the design, or to support the comments we made on the design? So what would be the,
Basically that, so it's all right, I've gathered some notes.
I don't know if I can do that in a vote.
I just wanna kind of like ensure that these are the main points and that we agree with this.
We got figured.
I think we could vote on the overall recommendations and then you can refine the
We
wording.
don't like very much refer back to this discussion, but basically the things we're calling out, as I gathered, the signal timing being an improvement, wanting to make sure that it happens automatically without hitting a beg button. Ensuring no turn on red for cars, but not for bikes. Adding clear signage for bikes doing that zigzaggy left turn movement. Also mentioning on the northwestern end, hopefully I captured this, wanting to make sure that it ends at a safe transition. The north and western bound one makes it as far as an access road near Staples. And to consider adding curb ramps for bikes to exit the sidewalk. I think I might not have, I don't know if I fully got Amanda's point about Wheatland, I think we had a point about signage that I didn't capture yet. Alex?
One thing I think I would like to add to this also is kind of the timeline, which I think is great, which is design and implementation for a quick build thing in a matter of weeks or more months. So, that's kind of the timeline I think we should be striving as a city to meet for these things that are PVC, paint and the design. I don't know if there's a repaving or not involved, but
All right, so I'll add a bullet point mentioning, so like a few point, I'm adding a bullet point, pointing out, adding clear would be finding, as the project ends.
yeah.
Right. Any other high level points?
Yeah, so it seems, no, that was good. It seems then that we would say that, like, do we agree that these are SBAC's official comments? And make a motion to say we support, these are what we want to give to the city, our formal advisory points on this. So, can somebody make a motion to accept these as our official response, to the city on this design?
Move to
Excellent.
accept these.
Seconded by Tom, and then everybody else make your vote known early with a hand, yay, nay, yay. Awesome, very cool, so then we will send that your way,
Wait, did you say nay, Lena, or was
No, I
everybody?
said
was it
yay,
you?
I said
Okay.
yay, very loudly.
Alright.
Maybe I busted out the mic with my enthusiasm, excellent. So that passes, and if you wanna go right to someone's lab,
Great.
let's do it.
I'll give a very brief background of the project, then hand it over to people who actually know the area, more specifically. So this is a quick build project, but like most city projects, it's doing the like 3 spread out community meetings process. They recently had the first kickoff meeting for this conceptual designs. And I assume after another 2 bigger community meetings in a year or so, now we'll get to the quick build again. The project area is basically Somerville Ave, from Elm Street to Bow Street-ish. The city has conceptual layouts, but not specifics yet. And so with that, maybe let's initially open it up and hear people's takes. I know you want to weigh in.
I waited on the survey. That's okay. Just that I'm excited. I don't need to talk about it though.
Yeah, I wanted to see like a big flip here, the extent, the map of the extent of it.
Here's the overall map, on the western end, that's like. Here in Elm Street, I believe there's some discussion of making sure that this lines up nicely with the football project on Elm Street. Also covers it from Somerville Ave.
It's gonna make my air endearing very much better.
Yeah, this is amazing. So I don't know if I just quick, if we're just doing initial impression, what happens a lot of the time in the current painted, like paint only bike lane is that when someone's making a left onto one of these little side streets, people duck around them into the bike lane with like no real forethought. They just do it automatically. And I actually like stopped and like held the line. I like stopped and I like didn't let somebody complete that. On my way, it was on my way to like an aeronaut streetwise thing. I'm like, no, you have to stay there. So I stopped along with the person that was making the. Anyway, that is a huge problem. So just that alone, having the flex posts and the parking protection is a vast improvement from what is currently the situation. Also with, does this cover the, car wash?
Yeah.
It
This-
will, it goes I mean, the bike lane does go past the car wash, there. Is a giant curb cut there, so,
Sorry.
yeah, we'll have to see what we're able to do in terms of protection. Like, we haven't
It'll
got to
just get
the point of design yet, but if the committee has specific thoughts on,
Cool.
you know, improvements that can be made in that area, we would definitely love to hear that.
What do you think? I have a very specific personal reason to care about Central Street. It's when I take a lot and a lot of
It's
people
fine.
get almost run over or run over there. Is there anything about this bill that will help safety at that intersection? or
There
that
are
street?
gonna be sidewalk improvements there, aren't there?
Yeah,
Or
there's actually a separate project, at Central Street and Park Street, sort of joining those as a construction project, so.
Oh, cool.
This quick build project will sort of be taking place on the two ends of that.
That's great.
But
Awesome.
that, I think.
So is this
is not
distinct
super-
from? Oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
Sorry, what did you say then?
I was gonna just, I think we had reviewed some signal phasing for the Wilson Square portion. Was that a separate project or is that part of this?
Yeah, that's part of the LMDP connector project, so
Okay.
this project will be picking up, east of the intersection. Where that project ends.
It's a network.
Yeah, what's exciting about this is that, you know, we have the LMDP connector project and then. The Union Square Streetscape project on the other side, and so,
Yeah.
you know, in
Both streets.
hopefully, you know. Over the next few years.
Alex, did you have your bedroom?
Yeah, the city staff, my challenge to the city on this is the timeline. So this seem, unless there's something that I missed, this is, just exchanging the current road to, it doesn't involve so the Beacon Elm connector involved a number of kind of big changes. So I understand why there's a lot of community process and a long timeline, relatively long timeline for that. For this project, it seems like 2 years of meetings and implementation is quite a long time. Compared to like when I think about Western Washington, the pilot on that was designed, built in, it was a different time, but in 2020 in something like 3 months by the city. And so I would challenge the city to be able to do this in maybe a year and a half or 1 year versus this 2 year time horizon.
Second that sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember when I have two things to add that are both maybe unrelated to this, but first is, there's a hotel, like the Cambria Hotel, they have a lot of like Uber drop-offs and pickups, and they do valet parking. And if you're at a hotel, maybe you're out of town, people don't really get that there's a bike lane right there, so I just encourage sensitivity to that, and that's often a place where I'm in conflict with a parked car that's dropping off or picking up someone.
Even though there's a place for them to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really annoying.
Yeah.
And it's not red light, it's okay, it's nice. And then secondly, at this very spot where Tom has the screen, people are often like jaywalking to go to Percy Way, to go to Aeronaut, the gym. I'm at Somerville Bike Kitchen, so I'm often jaywalking there, and it feels pretty unsafe, or whatever the bike equivalent of jaywalking is. Yeah, people are often coming out of Laurel, or they're walking on the sidewalk there, or biking on the sidewalk there, trying to get into all of the wonderful attractions on the Percy Way. And can be a little bit unsafe, so would love a crosswalk or some other manner of crossing that section safely.
Out of curiosity, are you coming from like the east or the west when you're crossing the Percy?
I'm coming down Laurel, so I'm taking a quick eastbound for the moment. But I see people who are on bikes riding the sidewalk, on Somerville Ave on the other side, and they're trying to come across. But maybe they have a beautiful new bike lane, they will feel comfortable taking the lanes, like this one.
Yeah, the Laurel Street call out is interesting because that sort of serves as like a one-way couplet with a part of Central Street.
Mhm.
And I believe in the bike network plan, it'll largely have to continue that role. I'm trying to remember. Because this part of Central Street is so narrow.
Yeah, I think if someone's like coming to Percy from beautiful new bike lanes on Central Street, the two-way on the curb, which we love so much. Then like your most direct route is going down Laurel.
Yeah, I do that too.
Right, yeah, I remember when I used to live in Winter Hill, a pretty big area around here, including like Market Basket as well, like going up Laurel
Yeah.
is like.
Holy
Doing
Grail.
it without turn.
Which I know the city's well aware that people want a safe pedestrian entrance to Market Basket, but that's a different project. Yeah. People are fighting for their lives, but
Right, anything else or anything folks want to highlight on here?
One specific thing that we were interested in hearing if the committee had thoughts on, and this is, could be specific to Somerville Ave, but also in general for these types of quick build productive bike lanes. The sight lines, like when you're in a protected bike lane approaching intersections, we've heard feedback about sight lines with parked vehicles and vehicles making turns, so would be interested in hearing any thoughts that the committee has relating to those types of issues, particularly with Somerville Ave. We will have the challenge of having to navigate around the bump outs that are kind of spread throughout the street, and we can kind of see it in this diagram here, because it's a quick build project, we don't have the flexibility to make changes to those bump outs that we would normally do with the reconstruction. So there's gonna be some element of weaving in and out to get around that. So we're trying to be particularly conscious of sightlines and, you know, making sure that the bike movements are predictable for drivers.
I appreciate that. It's like Cambridge Street has the kind of weaving and the sightlines are great. And if it's better than that, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'm curious if people have any like particular intersections in mind with like parking protected, quick built bike lanes in Somerville or elsewhere where they felt the sight lanes aren't great.
Hampshire Street, like going towards Kendall. There's a few, in between Columbia and the Kendall intersection. There's a few like small streets, like all residential turns. So not many cars are making those turns, but if you're on the bike, you really can't see them if they're coming in the same direction as you. And I think there was an accident there like last year on Union Street and Hampshire. Yeah, that's my commute and I feel pretty nervous going. If I'm going kind of fast, I feel nervous that I'm not gonna see the car coming in. Yeah.
You know, like inbound, is it maybe like
Yeah, exactly.
here-ish?
Yeah,
I guess right in this street, there's no car there, but if there were one, right, the sign would be left good.
and I think Somerville Ave is similar to Hampshire in that there's a lot of small residential streets where they're not high traffic, but there are enough cars turning in there.
Will bollards be going into the sight lines for the corners?
The, like flex posts,
Yeah,
yeah, so flex posts will be in the clear corner, similar to what's shown here.
okay,
That, your question?
yeah, thanks.
Out of curiosity, in your experience, how much are the sightlines an issue, like from legally parked cars, like back here and still being a little bit close to there, versus how much is it like cars either like fully in this space illegally or like partially encroaching on here?
Yeah,
Like, I'm kind of wondering like how much of the issue to like, should this line be pulled back
right.
further, or like, should it just be harder for cars to illegally occupy this space?
Yeah, I feel like on Hampshire, it's kind of is the legally parked cars. Like if you go to Hampshire and Union, which is the street just one east of Columbia. Yeah. Going towards Kendall. It's cool, but that's the spot, right? That's
Gotcha.
concerned.
Yeah, to me, this is like an interesting area to highlight and definitely like, I think we've seen this sometimes in other like public comments and sometimes somebody's more like a vehicular cyclist and honestly might be going too fast or maybe they're just looking for something to complain about with protected bike lanes. But also like, you can kind of see like the city having to remove some parking in cases like feeling obligated to like squeeze in one more parking space that they maybe should in at least some cases around like Cambridge or elsewhere. And so, yeah, I'm curious if folks around, they have a chance to like remember specific intersections where that's more of an issue.
Wow, there's more parking on Somerville Ave than I realized. Very a lot.
Right, anything else on Somerville Ave for now? I'll say process wise, my read is that we don't need to formalize anything now, but definitely encourage everybody to weigh in as an individual. And we can build off of this and do something for this round of feedback at next month's meeting.
Oh, my last comment is extra signage for drivers around the Market Basket entrance and exit, because that's a
Yeah,
lot of activity activity, yes.
Good way to
Just
put
say,
it.
there's bikes, they're coming, look for the bikes.
Okay,
But that, given the time, I'll suggest that we, skip the Mystic River Bridge for now.
wasn't there like, there might not be anything anyway, like there might not be.
There's not a whole lot to
information yet,
say, the main thing is,
But there will be
the
information.
main thing to potentially, yeah, the state might post their side of reporting by next month.
Okay,
And the main thing is potentially, Leanne, just as a preview, is that they thankfully have 18 feet of space on the bridge instead of a very narrow 10-ish or something before. There's kind of an open question of like, should that space be best used as like fully mixed use, fair use path, whatever, or should there be like designated space overall? But something to ponder.
and again, we do have a time for public comment if we have any guests that want to say anything. I still don't know. if
I
this
was
is-
gonna just ask, it might be help to summarize the feedback on Somerville.
Oh, you
Ave.
wanna put it on the screen, what we just did?
Yeah, the Somerville Ave feedback, yeah, I'll leave this up for reference. I would say if any members of the public want to comment, feel free to raise your hand on Zoom. For reference, I think we're not taking this to vote right now, but here's the notes that I captured so far. We're strongly supportive, we'll have the timeline to be faster, the general problem of cars entering the bike lanes to bypass the left turning car, various problem spots that we mentioned. I don't see anything else right now, so it's all right, I'll pass it back to Lena, to pass to the city for the city update.
Exactly, excellent, so yes, let's hear from the city, because we did not get to last month, so let's hear the city update. Greg,
I am going to try to share my screen, which is always an adventure. The casting. All right, I think that may, but that's good. Can everyone online see the slide?
yes,
Yes.
All right. Which do you want to find it?
So, yeah, so feedback is organized a lot of some of that. It's on Monday at the moment with the rain date for Wednesday next week. They'll be starting at Wilson Square, at the intersection of Somerville Ave and Elm Street and walking all the way to Oak Street. So if you all want to join, it's from 6 to 8 p.m. Just talking about the condition of the project a little bit more. And we already talked about the Union Square Farmers Market, but still waiting to hear from Main Streets about confirming the date.
Yeah, encourage anyone who's interested to go join for the PTAC walk. As we talked about previously with this project, if the committee is interested at some point in trying to schedule like a ride audit or something, then the city is happy to attend that. So just let us know. We talk a lot about these projects for Phil, so the discussion about Middle Six Ave and Somerville Ave, and then on Beacon, no major updates since the committee had talked about that project previously, but expecting an updated design, final design this fall, and implementation next year. This photo was from one of our days, a pop-up for the Somerville Ave project at Wilson Square. It's not the day that I saw you did, but, we were, yeah, right at that corner of Wilson Square and talked to, you know, many people. A lot of people really excited about this project. No major updates on our complete streets projects, so Tufts and West Broadway are still, in, scheduling for construction, still expected, both those projects to begin construction this year and continue next year. Western Pearl, we talked about, I believe, last meeting for that, updated design expected, in fall. We got a whole slew of larger infrastructure projects, Spring Hill getting very close to wrapping up. The major roadway paving is all done. The cycle track on Summer Street, they were out paving, adding paving to that, I believe yesterday. I'm not sure if that is all completed, but it might be done at this point. But the hope was to get that completed this week. And then it's primarily just what we call punch list items remaining, which are kind of the last final miscellaneous things like pavement markings and any adjustments that need to be done last minute. And then, yeah, this is the list of where we're at for some of the state projects.
There's a question in that chat, Greg, about Spring Hill before you jump on.
Okay, Tom mentioned the Mystic River Bike Ped Bridge, so we'll definitely have time for the committee to discuss that in the future. Kind of the big picture is revised plan expected this fall, as well as a public hearing and public comment period. So we can definitely talk about the information that is out there in advance of that, but there will be something to respond to later this year, hopefully.
I think Central got debumped, right? It's less bumpy now.
Yeah.
Is that very recent?
I think so.
Adrian, can you specify is that the Summer Street?
Yeah, for Spring Hill.
So I
Yeah.
don't think the section on between Vinyl and School Street will be painted because that is a fully separated
Mhm.
like grade separated cycle track. As far as I know, that is not going to be painted. I'm not 100% sure, but we typically don't paint those ones.
Okay. What about like closer to Union Square? Will that be like closer to Union Square coming? I guess going towards Davis Square or Porter Square. Like, will any of that's not completely separated be painted green?
Much of it is green right now. On Summer,
On Summer,
in
yeah.
between
Yeah.
school and beyond Central
I think
Street.
they painted the ones that are sort of like the half raised.
With the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe those are painted, but with this one, I think it's like a full 6-inch curve. So I didn't think that one was being painted. But,
Okay.
don't quote me on that, but yeah, we usually would paint that.
And for context, we got an email from one of the public complaining about the quality of the pavement in the Central Ave cycle
When was
track
the email? I'm just curious.
a few days ago.
Oh,
and I'm
really?
not sure
I wrote a few days ago.
if they did out recently or just slogan them.
Well, some of that pavement is permeable, right?
Right,
That's a
yeah,
big
so
deal.
there's driveways, so there's like some that like bumpiness that is to be expected, I think. I'm
It's exciting.
willing
That's-
to.
I'm not aware of a substantial effort to do any additional paving on the Central Street cycle tracks. It's possible that some of the like final punch list items could include touch ups here and there if there are, were any errors or any repairs that need to be made, but definitely if there are places, that you feel like need to be improved, send that feedback into the city.
Greg, I would still, I know it's open now, but still missing kind of the precast concrete curbs on Western Washington. So it would still be, I think, still be useful to track it here that we're still waiting on those. And the reason I bring it up is because the last section of it is oftentimes not usable thanks to the ice trucks parking in the bike lane. That could be resolved, it's also right in front of a daycare, which isn't great. So yeah, that's why I don't know if they're coming in, so it doesn't need to get tracked anymore, but just want to get an update.
Yeah, we can, I'm happy to include that on here going forward. We are still sort of in the, let's say, figuring out the procurement phase for the precast concrete curve. So those will be coming, but I don't have a specific timeline, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, it'd be great because that was the update I think the last 2 months as well. So it'd be useful to get an update if there was what it might be or what I don't know what the best for the committee, but it would be great to have for the first time
Yeah.
we're looking at for
Yeah.
Alex, I'm sorry,
definitely-
this was the precast curbs on which street? Was this Washington?
Western Washington, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely share when we have an update there. And that's it.
All right, thanks so much.
Excellent. Is there any other comments or questions? Updates?
And I think I didn't mention, this is Somerville Ave. It sounds like some of you have taken our survey, but it is open until, I believe, the end of next week. Definitely want to get your comments on behalf of the committee, but feel free as individuals to go in and share your feedback through the survey. Got a presentation and video recording online right now, so if you haven't seen the materials yet, feel free to check them out.
SBAC, blue sky, we can post and see, people about the survey, so that's bring it full circle.
There are many businesses on this stretch of Somerville Ave that we have begun doing block walking and checking in with the businesses, so that will continue throughout the property of the project. But definitely a priority of ours to make sure that the businesses feel looped in here and engaged with what we're doing.
Wear your helmet in when you go to these local businesses and you patronize them on Somerville Ave, because you bike by them so often, and I'm talking about myself mainly. I go to a lot of places on Somerville Ave and Bow and places down there, so it is gonna be really awesome when we've got some protected bike lanes there. Very excited about that, so. If there's no public comment, I think, there's nothing else. We can make a motion to adjourn this meeting, so who will do that? Paul, would you like to make a motion to adjourn, or do you wanna?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Second, excellent. And with that, we are adjourned. Or do we have to like roll call that?
You have to
No.
vote on it, right? No, I don't want to.
All right, let's cut and print.
Yeah, you've read the.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank-
Good night, everybody. Take care.
All right.